It's back up. Mad news. AJ, Jake Paul in December. What's your reaction?
Delicious. Listen, good. AJ took a year out. Easy fight for him. And I think this should be laid to rest because I don't think AJ's going to go in and try and pat. AJ's going to smoke him.
Could AJ finish this in a round if he wanted to?
Depends. We'll see. But I will say this to AJ. Don't let that guy knock you out because that will be fucking nightmares forever. But one or two. Put it this way. AJ has to kill him in 3 rounds.
If it goes longer than 3 rounds, you back Jake Paul?
No, I don't back Jake Paul. That means, what is AJ doing?
Yeah.
He has to smoke him in 3 rounds. The same way he did in Ngannou. How many rounds was in Ngannou?
2, second round.
Exactly. So he has to smoke him fucking 2 rounds.
Live only on DAZN, November 15th, Eubank Jr. versus Ben 2. The first was a classic, now it's the rematch. The greatest rivalry British boxing has ever seen. Eubank Jr. versus Ben 2, November 15th.
So we got breaking news, guys. Breaking news. Anthony Joshua, Jake Paul. It's official. Fight is done. December 19th. More details to come. Guys, originally I shot this video earlier today about how the negotiations have been taking place between Eddie Hearn, Nakisa Bidarian and his camp, and it wasn't 100% official, but the negotiations were pretty solid. Better than any of the other fighters and their camps and MVP promotions, Jake Paul. This was one of those, this was a breaking news kind of moment as well, but it wasn't 100% official. Now we can say it's official, guys, and the fight date has been locked in. And look, this is huge. This is huge. Eddie Hearn earlier was very careful, very meticulous in his words, how he articulated his sentences. He was very careful not to give it away, but he did say, yeah, you know, there are negotiations kind of going on in the background. I'm not going to say that it's official or anything like that. We're talking. And now all of a sudden, it's done. And guys, this is blowing up social media like nobody's business. All right? I mean, what does this actually mean for boxing? You know, should this fight even ever happen? I mean, looking at AJ's comeback, his situation, Jake Paul's, rise, the exhibition angle. And now, how can this matchup could potentially impact the heavyweight division and influencer boxing overall? Guys, this is not even, I mentioned exhibition. I should add that not only is this fight official, not only is it booked for December 19th, it's not booked as an exhibition fight, guys. It's booked as a pro heavyweight boxing fight. Okay, it's official. This is the real deal, guys. No exhibition crap. This is it. This is what, my like, again, the earlier video that I shot, everything I had to redo this one because everything that I said wouldn't have made sense anyway, because by the time you guys see this video, it's all old news. So everything that I talk about right now is current with what's going on. So yeah, guys, welcome to Duality 7X. I'm your host Shiraz, and if you're new here to this channel, we try to cover all the latest trending stories when it comes to the world of MMA, UFC, WWE, and boxing, essentially combat sports, right? So I try to give my own perspective, my own kind of spin on it. So if you're into real fight talk, you guys are definitely at the right place. Please make sure to smash a like and subscribe. It certainly helps with the algorithm. Now, speaking of algorithm, the algorithms right now on social media are going ballistic. All right, yeah, Anthony Joshua, Jake Paul, that's official. It's going down, and it's breaking the internet. I mean, people are losing their shit, right? So, Eddie Hearn, everybody has officially confirmed it. Like, let me give you the tail of the tape, right? So, we all know that Jake Paul fights at a cruiserweight, all right? And that carries a maximum maximum weight limit of about 200 pounds. When he fought Mike Tyson at 227 and a half pounds. Mike Tyson came in at 228 pounds. Now, if that fight between Jake Paul and Gervonta Tank Davis was actually going to go down this week, so remember, it's supposed to happen on November 14th in Miami. Well, Gervonta usually fights at about 135. Jake fought at 227 in his last fight. And there was a whole thing about, there was a lot of stuff that I was reading about the back and forth, about, both camps pointing the finger at one another as to why the fight got canceled. Yeah, we all know that Gervonta Tank Davis's ex-girlfriend had launched a civil suit against Gervonta because of some allegations she made that were very egregious by nature. So I guess Jake Paul and his camp kind of took it upon themselves to kind of back out of the fight. Whereas they're blaming it on Netflix. Netflix said no, they had nothing to do with it. But the long and short of it was Gervonta's coach was blaming Jake Paul for canceling the fight. And because they were saying that, according to the contract, he was supposed to come in at 195 pounds for the fight. And he was nowhere near that. And so maybe this was an opportunity for Jake Paul to, exit stage, back out of the fight because of all the excess baggage that's kind of going on with Gervonta Davis and his, the things that are happening in his personal life. But, I mean, even at 195 pounds, that's still a 60-pound difference, a 60-pound difference, right? If he were to fight Gervonta Tank Davis. But if he came in at 227, I mean, that's almost a 100-pound difference. Now, here's the deal. Davis is out of the picture. All right. Then there was talks about potential of Ryan Garcia. And then because Ryan Garcia, as you all know, or as most of you are aware, he was banned from boxing. There was some, things related to that. We won't get into that today. But Ryan Garcia would have been a great fight. And ever since the ban got lifted on Ryan Garcia, the boxing community and world welcome Ryan Garcia back into the folds of the boxing community. And right off the bat, Oscar De La Hoya came out and he said, no. Ryan Garcia is not going to fight Jake Paul. Ryan Garcia is with DAZN. Jake Paul is Netflix. It's not going to happen. It's not. They've got plans for Ryan Garcia. He's already got a couple things going on for next year. But no, Jake Paul, Ryan Garcia, not going to happen. Then people were talking about, well, what about Andre Ward? And you guys know. So I did a video on Jake Paul and Ryan Garcia. I did a video on Jake Paul and Andre Ward. The thing with Andre Ward is that would have been a good fight. Andre Ward is undefeated. He retired undefeated. But the problem was Andre Ward last fought in 2017. That's a long time ago. I mean, 8 years is a long time when it comes to boxing. And I'm sure he still has a lot of mad skills. I mean, this is Andre Ward. I mean, the guy, he was a former world champion. I mean, he knows a drill. But still, there's probably a lot of ring rust associated with Andre Ward. And anyways, that obviously that never kind of came to fruition. Still a very top candidate for a fight against Jake Paul, but something else was cooking. Then Jake Paul sits down with ESPN and he gives out his 8-man name list of fighters that he wants to potentially fight. Amongst those names, you had Ryan Garcia. You had Alexander Usyk, the world heavyweight champion. Anthony Joshua. There was a number of names, right? And even, there was people even throwing out things like, well, what about KSI? What about Francis Ngannou? What about Andy Ruiz, potentially? Deontay Wilder? I mean, everybody was just throwing any name they could. But the one name that was kind of there, and it kind of made sense, but not many people were talking about it, and that was AJ, Anthony Joshua. Right? Now, there's a lot to this story. Remember, AJ hasn't fought since Daniel Dubois stopped him in the 5th round. That loss honestly did a number on AJ's mental psyche. It really put him back, because you have to understand, when AJ came back into the folds of boxing again, he was building his foundation, he was moving forward, then all of a sudden, boom, comes Daniel Dubois, stops him in the 5th round, and it was a huge blow to his momentum. All right, it was a weird, like, I mean, when Anthony Joshua came back, he was in this weird kind of career area. Like, I mean, it's really hard to kind of, like, I mean, he was kind of like in boxing purgatory, if that makes any sense, right? I mean, what do you do now that your momentum has completely died? Like, it just shifted after that loss against Daniel Dubois. Here's a guy who used to hold the IBF, the WBO, the WBA championship belts. He went from Olympic gold to world champion, and then to losing those belts, to regaining them, and then losing to Alexander Usyk twice, and then Dubois. And that last fight against Dubois completely shattered his momentum, and he had to pretty much essentially start from scratch. And then that's kind of where AJ was at a crossroads. That's why I say his career was in kind of like boxing purgatory. And so that every move AJ makes now is very calculated. It's strategic. And Eddie Hearn wants to make sure he's doing the best he can for his fighter. Right? And so meanwhile, Jake has been fighting. He's 12-1. His one loss to Tommy Fury. But, I mean, he's beaten some very, very big names. He's been getting a lot of notoriety. He's been getting a lot of attention. And it's real, guys. Look, he's a cruiserweight. Naturally, he's a natural cruiserweight, okay? He hasn't fought any serious heavyweight talent except for that of a 58-year-old Iron Mike Tyson, who looked absolutely incredible for a man who's almost in his 60s. But that in itself, that fight was marred with a lot of controversy, a lot of opinions on the fight and how it went. And but anyways, it looked more like a sparring match than it did a boxing match, right? And a lot of people will attest to that. I'm not going to get into the fine details of it. That's not this video. But I mean, now he's getting into the ring with the bona fide former heavyweight champion of the world, Anthony Joshua. Yeah. And this is like the biggest level this is the biggest level jump, in boxing history. I mean, here you got, Jake Paul, who's been making a name for himself as an influencer, a business entrepreneur, coming out of the woodworks and fighting these legendary names. And I mean, almost every fight he's has had some kind of controversy surrounding it. Either the guy's too old, or he's an has-been, or he's this, he's that, or whatever. But I mean, even this fight that he was supposed to have with Gervonta Davis was marred with a lot of controversy as well. But the thing that kind of piqued a lot of people's interest was that Gervonta Davis, he's a current WBA champion of the world, and he was ready to relinquish his title to be able to fight this exhibition fight against Jake Paul. But he's a current active fighter. That's important. So a lot of people were like, yeah, there is a big size difference between these two guys. How's this going to actually turn out? How's this going to look? I mean, it's probably a bit of a circus kind of a thing, but that's what sells tickets. That's the marketing. That's the hype. That's the beauty behind all of this, right? That's what people want to see. People are going to talk a lot of smack about it, but that's what people want to see. And so look, I mean, you've got Joshua is a two-time former world heavyweight champion. And, he's proven himself. He's a ranked fighter. I mean, he's unified the belt back in 2017, 2019, and 2021. And he knows that Jake Paul is not a walk in the park, right? Jake Paul, Jake Paul can pull surprises out of nowhere. He's got a pretty good punch. The question really is going to come down to is, can Jake Paul keep up? How's his stamina levels going to be? Anthony Joshua is going to come out exploding, and I kind of figure that Jake Paul is going to come out of the gates pretty strong as well too. But how long are these are these Rams going to continue to batter horns? Somebody's got to give, right? And then Anthony Joshua's got that sweet science. He's got that technical capability. He's a seasoned fighter. Jake Paul, no offense to him or anything like that. He's done incredibly well for being a novice fighter, but without having gone to the same kind of ranks and training like a lot of these professional fighters have. But he's been able to hold himself up in the ring, and there's going to be a lot of questions about AJ, about that fight that he had against Daniel Dubois that took place back in 2024 in September. And I mean, is that going to come back around again? Because if it does, it's pretty much, it's going to be pretty much the I'm not going to say the end of AJ, but it is going to really push him back big time. And it could potentially put some of his upcoming fights in jeopardy. So even though this fight will probably have a payday in the tens of millions of dollars, but it's a big risk. I mean, not a lot of risk to Jake Paul. Win or lose, this is going to be okay for Jake, because Jake is Jake. He could hold his, even if he loses this fight, he can hold his head high and say, hey, you know what? I went toe to toe with the 2-time former world heavyweight champion of the world. And if Jake can last in this fight, if he can stay afloat and not get knocked down, and if he can last the distance and still lose, then people are going to be like, well, Jake deserves another chance. And maybe not necessarily against having a rematch against AJ, but maybe an Andy Ruiz or Deontay Wilder, or perhaps maybe even a Tyson Fury, maybe even a Daniel Dubois, or a chance at Alexander Usyk. Why not? If there's for Jake, he's got nothing to lose but everything to gain. The guy who's taking a bigger risk here is AJ, because one wrong hit, one wrong punch, AJ's out, and that's going to change everything. If AJ gets knocked to the canvas, it's done. He's done. I don't know how you rebound off of that. I mean, I don't think his boxing career is going to be over, because he is one of the biggest names globally. He's a boxing icon. Everyone knows the name of Anthony Joshua. But if he loses to Jake Paul, the headlines are going to be professional fighter loses to influencer. That's what it's going to be like. Right? So, I mean, you have to understand too, Joshua's 36 years old. Okay? Paul's 28. That's going to be a big, that's also going to play pretty heavy into this too. And remember, Jake Paul just recently fought Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., right? That was back in June. And not bad. I mean, Julio Cesar kind of started a little bit slow. And then he started to gain his kind of skills and momentum in the latter part of the rounds, where he was kind of turning it up against Jake. But yeah, this is different. This is a whole different animal, guys. A whole different animal. And I mean, this is going to be incredible. And you have to the other thing too is Joshua, AJ, he's 6'6". He's a big boy. And I mean, if I'm Jake, I'm going to try to bulk up. I'm going to try to get in at that 227, 229 pound weight. I think that's good on Jake. It didn't slow him down when he fought Tyson, so I think that's the kind of weight he wants to get into at. But I mean, yeah, this is serious, guys. This is absolutely incredible. And Eddie Hearn's big focus now is, okay, so December 19th. His fighter AJ is going to take on Jake Paul, and then he's got another fight that he's trying to line up for AJ sometime potentially in the early part of 2026. For Jake, I don't know. For Jake, I really don't know. I mean, it really comes down to what happens with this match against AJ, right? And then, look, there's money talks louder than everything, guys. I mean, sometimes money even talks louder than belts. But you have to understand something. Jake Paul's made a lot of money, as Anthony Joshua has as well. But Jake Paul, I honestly believe it's not all about the money. Money's important. It's a catalyst. Obviously, it's one of the biggest reasons that he's doing what he does, to put his life on the line every single time. But more importantly, for Jake, I think he's chasing legacy. He's chasing legitimacy. He is chasing the opportunity to actually earn one of those belts. And so that his name can be remembered forever as a former, or as an influencer, entrepreneur, turned pro boxer, goes on to win the World Heavyweight Championship or Light Heavyweight Championship or Cruiserweight Championship. I don't know. But that's the kind of legacy, that's the kind of legitimacy that he's chasing. Like it or not, though, Jake Paul brings numbers. Okay? He brings a lot of hype. He brings a lot of marketing. These guys are marketing geniuses. He knows exactly what he's doing and how to do it and how to market a fight. All right? And with AJ, as I mentioned before, he's one of the biggest global names in boxing today. You put those two guys together, break the internet all day long. So honestly, a part of me loves it, and another part of me loves it even more. I can't wait for this fight to happen. I was talking about how I was getting so into actually looking forward to seeing Gervonta Tank Davis and Jake Paul fight. That was supposed to happen this week, guys. But now I'm okay to wait. I'm okay to wait another month and a half, or a month and a week, 5 weeks for this fight. I think it's going to be absolutely insane, right? And the great thing about it, guys, is thank God I didn't put out my earlier video, because I was talking about an exhibition fight and I was talking about all these different things. Sorry, guys, my studio's falling apart here. But the great thing about all this stuff is that we're not even talking about exhibition anymore. This is actually for a pro fight. This is a pro boxing fight, right? I mean, hats off to Jake Paul. You know what's interesting, right? You got KSI. KSI, when there were talks potentially just recently about, hey, KSI, do you want to fight Jake Paul? And he's like, no. That's not going to happen. That ship has sailed. He had his chance. I mean, okay. But I mean, I don't know how many, I don't know. I don't know KSI's gig. I mean, is he an influencer, business entrepreneur? He works very closely with Jake's brother, Logan. He's with Prime. I mean, and he's got a number of different businesses. KSI's done absolutely incredibly well for himself. But, is he in the same league as Jake Paul when it comes to fighting? I don't know. I mean, I don't really see a lot of videos of KSI in the gym and training and all that. And I don't know how many big fights he's had. I mean, Jake Paul's fight Mike Tyson. He's fought Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. He's fighting a lot of former world champions. And guess what? He's getting it done. So KSI's talking about how that ship has sailed and stuff. Well, I don't know. I don't think really Jake Paul would even be interested in wanting to fight KSI anymore. There's not a lot of meat to that story anymore. I don't think a lot of people would be as hyped to watch that fight anyway. Because, I mean, if you just turn the corner, you got a guy, but a 6'6" Anthony Joshua staring you down, and it screams tens of millions of dollars all day long. A fight between KSI and Jake Paul, I don't think is going to bring that kind of smoke. Nowhere even near. So I think Jake Paul's making all the right moves. He's doing all the right things. And I think he definitely should be considered as a boxer. All right. These kind of fights don't happen just because you're rich and you're wealthy. There has to be some merit to the madness. And if Jake Paul was just some skinny guy who just did a lot of YouTube and was a great businessman and this and that, there's no way Anthony Joshua's fighting him. Doesn't matter if it was even $20 million. He's not. Like, it's just, that's not AJ, right? And that's not the brand that he's trying to build, and that does nothing for his legacy. Money's money. Money comes, money goes, right? AJ can make that money. He'll make that money. But he's fighting Jake Paul because I think he's got a mission. He wants to end Jake Paul. And for Jake Paul, he thinks this is just the beginning. So, yeah, this is going to be great, right? I mean, look, boxing loves it. Everyone's going to love it. What do you guys think? I personally think that Anthony Joshua's got the edge on this one for me. Now, some people, like you saw earlier in the video, think maybe 2 rounds, maybe 3 rounds. Yeah, about 5-6 years ago, I could see that from AJ, but times have changed. You know, Jake has been training hard every day. He's really serious about his boxing. I think he could last past 2-3 rounds. And if he doesn't, then okay. Then I'm gonna say, you know what? AJ did what he said he was gonna do. But I think AJ can get this done in about maybe 5 rounds or so, right? And maybe he plays a little rope and dope. Maybe he sells a fight a little while longer. Makes it look like Jake's kind of in the game, and then he goes in for that typical AJ style and just go for the knockout. I don't know. Or maybe he gets it done early and collects his money and moves on to the next one. I mean, no matter what, guys, I think this is going to be incredible. I mean, but hats off to Eddie Hearns. I mean, these guys are absolutely marketing geniuses. These guys are great. Anthony Joshua is a legendary fighter. He is one of the greats in the game, and I really feel, that he could climb his way back up to a title contention again. But again, right now, he's got to think about Jake Paul, because Jake Paul wants that just as much as Anthony Joshua does. And so this is going to be interesting. These two locomotives are going to be about to collide. And so, I mean, I've kind of given you my take, but I want to hear what you guys think, right? Should Joshua be fighting Jake Paul? Should this fight happen? Should it have been an exhibition fight, or do you think you guys are okay with it being a pro boxing fight? I mean, is this the kind of matchup you think that's actually going to help or hurt the sport of boxing long run? Anyways, drop your thoughts and comments below, guys. I love reading them, and I try to respond to all of them. Let me know what you guys think. If you enjoyed this breakdown, please smash the like and subscribe. Join us here on Duality 7X for more fight talk, MMA, UFC, WWE, and boxing. I cover it all. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Breaking news. There's going to be more to follow, guys. I can't wait. Enjoy your night.